Hey folks, how are you? Jaimee Bingle here. I want to talk about race and ethnicity and dreams. And, this morning I was reading Daniel 2, or Daniel 1 and 2. And I've read this book so many times, and I always get tons of revelation out of it. And that coupled with, I have a dream interpretation group where people have dreams and they can get interpretation, and where people also can practice interpreting dreams. That's all it is. That's all the group is. And there's a lot of people in there from so many other countries. And sometimes I think I have no clue what this means to this person, because I have no clue about their culture, their ethnicity, their race, where they're from. I think they might be from the Middle East. Maybe they're Hindu, and so many different religions. And there's people in there. I would just believe it's a real harvest field where we can interpret dreams for people, where, like King Nebuchadnezzar, when you reveal the mysteries of God to them, that they fall prostrate on their face and say, wow, your God is the one true God. And so kind of what I wanted to talk about today was like my own fear in even looking at those dreams, just because I thought, well, gosh, I don't even know what to say to those folks, I had one lady, she was posting all the time, like, I had a dream that I was eating pomegranates and I felt light and airy. And then there was a kingdom of, it just sounded like a fairy tale every time I was talking, every time she posted a dream. And I thought, wow, what in the world? Is she in heaven? Or it doesn't even sound like kind of what paradise, it doesn't really line up with what kingdom life, God lifestyle is. But so I say all that to say that yes, there is a way that you can interpret dreams in other cultures and other races. And the first thing is, just sharing the story of Daniel. If you read in the first 2 chapters, he was taken into exile by King Nebuchadnezzar, which was a totally different culture and race, and he didn't know their ways. He was brought into the king's service, and he was trained in all levels of literature, and he was trained in their culture, basically their language. And then he was found to be 10 times better than any of the enchanters, any of the magicians, the sorcerers in the kingdom. And when the king had a dream, what ended up happening was nobody could interpret it. And all the magicians said, there's nobody that if you don't tell us the dream, we can't interpret it. Well, the king was not having it. He wanted them to tell him what the dream was and to tell the interpretation. And what did Daniel do? He went and fasted and prayed, called his friends to do the same, and he had a dream, and he had the dream of the king, and then God gave him an interpretation. And it says in Daniel 2, 24 that the king said in 2:26, the king asked Daniel, are you able to tell me what I saw in my dream and interpret it? And Daniel replied, no wise man, enchanter, magician, or diviner can explain to the king the mystery he has asked about, but there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. And so I'm speaking even to myself that we can go to the Lord, because what are we doing anyway? We're interpreting, and of course we can look at certain symbols and we can kind of have some guided knowledge on top dreams and typically what they mean, but really our interpretation needs to come from the Lord and what the Lord is saying. And so we have to take it off ourselves where, oh, it's my gift or my interpretation, off generalities or formulated responses of what a lot of dreams can be. And we can get caught up that in the midst of being busy, but we have to be able to look at dreams from the perspective of what is God saying. And of course, there are some questions that we can ask. We can ask the dreamer things like, what does this object typically mean in your culture? So they have let's say the person has a dream about a dog. Well, a dog in one culture might mean something in another. In America, we might say, well, this dog is, man's best friend. We hear that saying, but in another culture, a dog might be like, ooh, a dog, and so just looking at what the symbols, what the colors mean to the dreamer, and even knowing that even if it's in the same culture, sometimes the dreams the objects in the dream can mean different things. So we really have to be listening to the dreamer, and more importantly, listening to what the Holy Spirit says and is saying to that person through a dream. So, you know, we can ask, what does this color mean? What does this person signify to you? You know, even asking further questions. Well, this person this object signifies a dog. What does a dog actually, you know, or a man's best friend? What does that really mean to you? Or what do best friends mean in your culture? And I know that's kind of a silly example, but it's off the cuff. So, you know, just knowing that there's really no cookie cutter interpretation, and that we have to be in tune with what the Holy Spirit is saying. And I love that Daniel gave all glory to the Lord, that it was like, there's nobody that can tell you what your dream means, but there is a God in heaven who can reveal mysteries, and he has revealed it to me. I have a relationship with him. He speaks to me, he talks to me, and he loves you so much, he's going to tell you what your dream means. Now I'm paraphrasing because that's not exactly what Daniel said. But when the king heard that, it's like I mentioned a little earlier, he fell prostrate. It says he then paid him honor and ordered that an offering and incense be presented to him. And he said, surely your God is the God of gods and the Lord of kings and the revealer of mysteries, for you were able to reveal this mystery. And in that, Daniel, his life was spared, his friends' lives were spared, and so were all the other magicians and astrologers, because at that point the king said they're all going to die, I'm putting them all to death. And just that relationship with the Lord and that dream interpretation gift that Daniel had was able to stop that and change it. It put him before the king. It put him in service before the king. Now, he went on to interpret another dream, but I just want to say that don't be afraid, you know, especially you're in other countries or somebody has a dream. Don't be afraid to interpret and ask the Holy Spirit for guidance, and to really listen to the dreamer, and then listen to the Holy Spirit so that you can give them the Lord's heart for them in that dream. So hopefully that helped you, and I'll talk to you soon.